things I thought that in my perspective, you've got a unique kind of knowledge because you have been really exposed to like some the roots of Astanga yoga and Ayurveda and Tantra and meditation through your travels and your stays. So I was just wanting to ask you a little bit about who were your primary teachers, and I guess like you went to study Astanga yoga first.
Yeah, I went to Patabi Joyce. Well, he came. I first met him in '78.
Okay.
He came to America. He came to Encinitas, California, which is it's like 30 miles north of San Diego.
Okay.
And it was the area that Paramahansa Yogananda lived.
Okay.
There was the Self-Realization Fellowship.
Yeah.
And so he had a place right there on the cliff, and it was over, Pacific Ocean there, a beautiful spot. And the surf spot down there was called Swami's.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was a great spot. I used to go there all the time and just sit and it was really tranquil. And you could feel like the vibe of him hanging out there. And so it was a really special area.
Yeah.
There was an Ashtanga school there, and some friends of mine said, "Oh, you should come and check out Ashtanga yoga." I was like, "No, I'm not into yoga. I thought it was for old women or something."
Okay. Yeah.
So I thought, no, it's not going to be for me. I'm surfing, basketball, But they said, "No, you're going to like it. You're going to really like it." So I went and I watched one class, and it was in this really beautiful like church.
Okay.
They had taken out all the stuff from inside and just put a carpet down, and so it was like this epic place to practice in. It was a small little church, and so we came to the building. It was time for practice. Opened up the door. People were getting settled, and they started practicing. And I just sat in the corner and watched.
Who was teaching?
There was two American guys that had worked with David Williams and Nancy Gilgoff, who they started in Maui. That was the original tribe of people that started doing Ashtanga.
Okay.
Back in Maui, like in '73, I think.
Okay.
And then they brought Patabi Joyce to America in '75 the first time.
Okay.
And then I caught him on the second wave in '78.
Okay.
So I'd only been, I watched this class, and I was like mesmerized and very impressed by what they were doing and just the atmosphere in the room. And they said, "Oh, would you like to begin?" And I said, yeah, I want to do this,
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, you have to commit for a month." And I said, "A month? I just want to like check it out a little bit, like."
You're not ready.
And he said, "No, you have to commit for the month. You have to come every day."
Okay.
It's like, every day?
Like 7 times a week?
6 days.
Okay.
The traditional practice is 6 days a week. You take off on Saturday.
Okay.
And on moon days.
Okay.
On full moon and new moon day, that was a traditional day for taking off, take rest. So I said, okay, I'll try. It wasn't very expensive. It was like $35 or $40, something ridiculously cheap. So I did it, and I came every day, and I did that for 3 months.
Wow.
And then there was this buzz in the room, in the community, of our little community. Guruji's coming, Patabi Joyce coming, the guy who started this whole thing from India. I was like, really? Shit. And I'd only been into it for 3 months.
Yeah.
So he showed up, and then a bunch of people from Maui came.
Okay.
So our room swelled to be like, there was like 40 people instead of 20.
Okay.
And they were like these hippie freaks from Hawaii, long hair and beards and, all different ages and different degrees of practice, of training. And
I'm not an Astanga yogi, but I guess in that group there must have been some of like the pioneers of
yeah.
Like who is
like David Swenson, Danny Paradise, David and Nancy, David Williams, Nancy Gilgoff. All of their students came from Hawaii.
Okay.
There's one dude that's named Cliff. I can't remember his last name, but he was like 50 something.
Okay.
Like an old guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm 62. I was like, wow, he's old. Like a 50-year-old doing this shit.
Yeah.
And but they were really unique, and they were like full on, like the most advanced practitioners of Ashtanga at the time.
Okay.
So they came, they merged with our group.
They had landed in India. They met Patabi Joyce in India.
No, David did.
Okay.
David Williams and Nancy Gilgoff were on a quest to find like authentic yoga, and they were traveling all over India, and they met Manju. his son.
The son of Patabi
Yeah,
Joyce.
of Patabi
Yes, one
Joyce.
of the sons.
And so they saw him give a yoga demonstration in Madras, I think. And they were like, this is the shit, man.
Yeah.
This is the stuff I want to learn.
Yeah.
And they went up to him after his talk and his demonstration and said, we really want to learn this yoga from you, this style of yoga. We've been looking all over India, couldn't find anything that was like, that really grabbed us. He said, no, I'm sorry, we don't teach it, only to Brahmins.
Yeah.
And they said, what?
What?
Like, come
Yeah.
on, please,
We
let
are
me.
the quest-
He said, no,
is
only my father. He said, I learned it from my father, and he's in Mysore, and he only teaches it to Brahmins. And he said, please, let me,
Meet him.
yeah, let me meet him, So they went, and he was like, no, only Brahmins.
Wow.
So they hung out, and they just, like, showed, like, their
Yeah.
sincerity about it.
Yeah,
And
commitment.
they let him in.
Okay.
And they stayed there for, I'm not sure of the exact time, but I think like 3 to 6 months. And they
Wow.
practiced every day.
Wow.
And they learned all 3 series. They learned primary, they learned intermediate, they learned advanced A and B. They learned the whole freaking thing. He gave them
in 6
all of it
months.
in 6 months.
Wow.
Nancy was not that proficient. David was like,
He could
he
do
was a
it.
stud. He could do it.
So what you say when they learned it in 6 months, but they must have had some capacity to do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like
Yeah,
they,
yeah, of
they already
course.
knew yoga. Or,
Nancy didn't.
Okay.
She wasn't like that athletic and that. But David, you look at old pictures of David, and he was ripped and like he could do. He had already had some background. He already had some
had a-
asana practice.
Okay.
Okay, so they met Patabi. They did the practice, and they didn't even know it was divided into sequences
No,
and stuff.
they were just learning.
Yeah, they were just like, and then he gave them like a syllabus.
Okay.
And they would say, there's primary, there's intermediate, there's
Oh,
advanced A,
there's a
advanced
system
B.
here.
Well,
Yeah,
okay, all
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
He just threw the whole thing in there.
Okay.
And then we
So-
learned pranayama
So the program consisted of
of primary,
yes,
intermediate,
yes,
advanced A, which is 3rd and 4th series,
Mhm.
and advanced B, which is 5th and 6th series.
okay,
He eventually cut it into 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Okay.
Or 1st series, 2nd series, 3rd series, 4th series, 5th series, 6th series.
okay. So that's like the total syllabus.
That's the total syllabus of asana practice,
Yes.
and then there's a pranayama sequence
Okay.
that goes on for like 45 minutes,
Okay.
and it's quite intense. You have to be able to sit in Padmasana
For 45
for
minutes.
45 minutes without breaking the Padmasana, holding the breath sometimes for a minute or more, kumbhakas. So anyway, they learned that from him, and they went back to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, friends, family, we learned like
we
the
know
shit,
yoga,
man.
this
Yeah,
is
we learned
it."
some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So they gathered a bunch of people and they practiced under
Which
this
year are we
banyan
now?
tree in
They are-
Maui. This is like 73.
Okay.
So they practiced for a couple of years with a bunch of people. And people didn't have money. And they were ganja growers and,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
They were giving them like ganja
Yeah.
or bananas or whatever
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to practice.
Yes.
But they created like a tribe of people to do it, like 20 people or something, or 30 people that practice every day under this banyan tree outside.
Wow.
So they got really good at it. Then they invited Patabi Joyce in 75
To go to
to
Maui.
go to California. So they met him in California. That was his first trip. And Manju came, and they knew Manju. And then Manju stayed, and they did some practice. Manju never left. He didn't get back on the plane with his father.
You mean he stayed?
Yeah, he's like
deflected.
he's like I ain't going back, Dad.
I'm
This is
jumping
pretty
off.
nice.
I'm jumping off the
You know,
boarding
shit.
ship.
There's
No.
Southern California
Yeah,
chicks,
yeah.
bikinis,
All of that,
and
there you go.
woohoo.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, no, I'm not going back
That's
with you. And he's
very
like,
different
what?
from South India.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're my son. Didn't go back.
Okay.
So he went back.
But tell me,
Alone.
went back. Manju stayed in U.S.
Manju stayed, and he kept teaching.
Okay, so he was like one of the primary teachers in those years.
Yeah. He had his own school. He was a little bit renegade style.
Okay.
And
Renegade-
then these
when you say renegade style,
meaning like he was
it
a little
means-
radical. He was
Rad-
like jumping on people, picking them up, swinging them around.
Oh,
He started
okay.
playing rock and roll. He went a little bit like
Over the top.
wild style. Like I'm
But
the Indian guy that went to California.
Okay, but he stayed with the original sequence. And,
Yeah, I believe so. I
Okay.
didn't really practice with him.
Okay.
I connected with these guys named Brad Ramsey and Gary Lopadoda.
Okay.
And they had this school in the church
Mm-hmm.
in Encinitas on La Veta. And everyone knew about the church there. So that in '78, on the second round, when Patabi came back, he came to that church, and then they brought the people from Hawaii, and everybody practiced there for the first time with him.
How long?
In '78. I think he stayed. I think he stayed about 6 months that time.
Serious?
Yeah, he stayed with Manju, and Manju took care of him, and it was pretty cool. So I was only into it for like 3 months.
Okay.
And then this dude from
That's
India
when
comes.
you met him after you practiced already 3 months.
3 months.
And then he stayed 6 months, and you were staying with him in U.S. for those 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he said at the end, he said, "Oh, you please come India."
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, damn, I will."
Yeah.
So me, Gary, and Brad, who are my teachers, and 3 other people went to Mysore. We went to Mysore the next year, which was '79. We were the first group of Westerners to land in his shala. So we just had like private thing with him, and he just like, he loved it. He was like, he came all the way to India to see me.
It was like meant to be.
Yeah, so we hit it off, and we were like really close. That was the time that he gave me the name Raghava. Raghava. He said, "You are Raghava." You know Raghava, right?
Yeah.
Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Bhavana Sita Ram. So I was Raghava all the time. From that point on, he called me Raghava.
This is the name of Rama.
Yeah.
One of the names of Rama.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that was the beginning. And
that was, and how long you stayed in that time in India?
I stayed 6 months.
6 months.
The other people left after 3 months. I stayed on another 3 months.
Alone or as a Westerner in that sense?
I left after those guys left and went north.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see some of India. I got sicker than a fucking dog.
Wow.
I got amoebic dysentery
in
Agra.
Okay.
I wrote about this in my book. It's a pretty funny story. I don't know if we want to do it now, but it's in my book. I tell the story about how I got, I got the amoebas, and then I went to Benares and I almost died. I lived on the boat and I thought I was going to die. And I woke up one day, I was like, I was shitting off the end of the boat into the Ganges,
Shit.
And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh my God, this is not good.
Unless you've been sick in India, nobody can understand.
No.
This is
Mulabanda wasn't working.
Not at all.
It was like, just pooping off the side of the boat.
You could be so sick.
And there was like burning guts on each side of me.
Yeah.
So I was like, and then I was like, I said, shit, if I fall asleep, they might grab me and throw me on one of these fires.
Yeah.
So I was a little worried,
Yes.
And then I had enough energy, enough strength to get my ass back to Mysore.
Okay.
And I showed up at his doorstep and I said,
I'm sick.
As soon as he opened the door, he goes, "Oh, very sick." I said, "Guruji, I'm very sick."
Yeah.
He said, okay. So him and his wife, they took care of me for like a couple of months. I stick around.
Wow. Without training, or you recovered?
Some training, but I was like, I was out of it.
I mean, you didn't recover in 2 months, or?
No. I went home.
Okay.
After that, because I was weak, I didn't get out of it. I didn't do any antibiotics or nothing. I was just trying to take care of it.
Yeah.
I went home. I found out I had amoebic dysentery. That I almost died from it.
Oh my God.
I took antibiotics. It knocked it out, but it came back again. I had to do another course of it, and I finally got rid of it after a year.
Okay.
My colon was messed up. I almost died.
Yeah. We can do a whole video how to survive in India.
Oh yeah.
With all kinds of
quick
medicine.
weight loss. I know, quick weight loss.
Okay, go
Just give like some immediate. Oh, you want to learn lose 50 pounds?
Take this.
And then shit your brains out. Yeah. I don't know how to stop the weight loss.
No, but you have to go to somebody else for that.
I had to go to a medical doctor, man. And anyway,
so that means you stayed with him for 2 months, like alone, and they were helping you recover and all that?
They did their best. I did some asana. I went back.
I'm just thinking that would be a chance to get like a personal relationship with him.
Yeah, heck yeah. I got really close with them. They took care of me. I was like their son. They took me in,
How was their English?
Not good, but
okay.
They just communicated through their love and their connection with me, and they knew I was devoted and I was there, and they were like, "Oh, we got to take care of this guy. He got bad dysentery."
Yeah.
His wife was great. His wife was such a sweetheart.
Can you how was your perception of his everyday life when you lived with him and
he was a simple man, simple man. Simple house, you know, very basic. His yoga shala was like one room thing that held like a capacity of 10 people in it, like just like mat to mat,
Okay, wow.
and no windows.
No.
It was just like this little incubator. It was
Yes.
hot as hell, and you're just like
Yes,
sweating
like a
like
sauna.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was his room. And then he had the next story up that was like a finishing room where you could do finishing postures.
Oh.
Like you're inverted and some seated postures, and that's where we did pranayama too. It was only us. So eventually, when more and more people started coming to Mysore, he had people lined up on the stairs going all the way up to the roof.
Okay.
And people had to wait like 2 hours, but we had like priority.
Yes,
we were
of
like
course.
number one, and we got the first slot.
Yes.
And then people sat on the stairs, and after those 10 people were done, he said, "Okay, next." And then we would finish and go to the second story. Another person would come in, and they'd start practicing.
Oh.
And then when we were done with our finishing,
So
we were
it was
gone.
a rotation.
Yeah, that's how he had to do it.
But you had to do it after you guys came. Before that, there wasn't a lot
No,
of people, so that he didn't need to do that.
No, he didn't need to do that. So
Okay.
we had sessions with him in the morning, and then we came back and we did some pranayama stuff. We had, you know, his wife gave us food and coffee, like Mysore coffee, and we hung out.
So you had like 2 practice slots per day? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
One is asana in the morning.
Yeah.
In the early morning.
Yeah.
In the Brahma Muhurta or like before sunrise.
Yeah,
or-
exactly.
Okay.
Well, right around sunrise.
Okay. And the
Then-
second slot.
Second slot was in the later part of the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of rested and hung out, and then we go back and we did some stuff with him then.
And was there was there a system to what you did in the afternoon?
No, I mean he was teaching pranayama, which, you know, we were all proficient in asana, so he felt like, okay, you can learn pranayama. And like I said, you had to be able to sit in padmasana for 45 minutes without breaking it.
Yeah.
And then he was doing like these really long kumbhakas, these long holds, and he was testing people. Like we would follow him. It was like
Yeah.
follow the leader, you know.
Yeah. And
And
he
he's
would
like-
he had a
He
good
would like, oh God, yeah, and he'd lock in,
Yep.
and we'd be going, you know, like
and-
squeaking
yeah,
and sweating, and some people were like, oh,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
he'd
They
go,
lost it.
no,
not ready.
not correct,
Okay.
not correct.
Could you? How long time was his combat? Do you think
He
his
was-
capacity?
His capacity, he didn't really show us.
What
He
do you-
just
what
was.
do you
He
estimate,
was
or-
doing around a minute or
Okay.
more,
Okay.
but I'm sure he could do 2, 3,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. But it's
But
not
I don't think that was the
the part the purpose of.
no. What I learned is that pranayama means basically you're expanding the prana inside of you, and the containment of the prana through the air. It takes training.
Yeah.
So when he was testing us, he was seeing how could we contain it. Did we have the capacity to hold that kind of energy? Because you become like a pressure cooker. It's like you take in the air, you lock it in, and then you're like, and it's building. The pressure's building. So if you're not clear, if your channels, if the nadis aren't clear,
Yeah.
you're gonna blow something. You're gonna blow a circuit.
Yeah.
You're gonna blow a circuit.
So he was seeing how you react to the
Yeah.
extra prana.
That's
to the
right.
extra pressure.
And he knew our asana practice. He knew that we were good and our breath was good, and he, you know,
He-
so
He had personal knowledge of all of you because he was teaching.
yeah.
So I just want to go back to you living with him, and he was a simple man.
Yeah.
So what was his daily routine like? He was practicing himself, and
You know, he
was a Brahmin. And
he
followed-
stopped practicing asana when I met him.
Okay.
His first son committed suicide,
Yeah, I heard that.
and so what I heard, what I understood is that because that happened, he took a vow that he was gonna relinquish
Sacrifice.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was gonna
sacrifice something
relinquish
of-
something that was really valuable to him.
Yeah.
He stopped practicing asana.
Wow.
I don't know if it's true or not,
That's the
but that's
story.
what I heard.
Okay.
He kept doing pranayama. He kept doing pujas.
Okay.
So he kept doing, ceremony stuff. So
Yeah.
his day consisted of puja in the early morning. He would teach us and some Indian people,
Okay.
and then some more puja, maybe his own pranayama. I never saw him like actually doing. He just did it with us, and then some more puja. He was constantly doing pujas. He was a
Okay.
Brahmin.
Yeah.
a Brahmin priest, so he was constantly
Who
doing
was his
ceremony.
devata, like when he's doing puja to Shiva? Or?
Yeah, to Shiva
Yeah.
and Shankara,
Yeah.
and Krishnamacharya was his guru, but he was a Shiva.
He was a Vaishnava.
Yeah, he's a Vaishnava.
And Krishna, Pachapajos was a Shaiva. He was
Yeah,
worshiping
yeah,
Shiva.
yeah, that's right.
Krishna
Yeah, because
was a Vaishnava.
um,
Yeah, the Vaishnavas are like this.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's it.
and Gurji was this way.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
That's right. I'm pretty good. Testing.
Because Krishnamacharya was in Akara. He was in the he was a Ramanandi, like my teacher also in the same
Okay, okay.
tradition. So that's why I know.
Yeah. No, Krishnamacharya, I never met him, but like the dude was phenomenal. Like my friend Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavinda Rishi, he's the astrologer.
Yeah, I
Ayurveda astrologer.
I know his
He's
name.
amazing. And he really thoroughly studied Krishnamacharya and all the stuff that he was into. He said he basically got like the equivalent of 4 PhDs in Vedic knowledge. That's
Krishnamacharya.
unheard of.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Nobody can make
No.
that accomplishment in one life.
No.
Wow, so he was exceptional.
And so he didn't really teach everything that he knew.
Of course.
He taught a little bit to Tabi, he taught a little bit to Iyengar, a little bit to his son, but he had like a wealth of wisdom that
Yeah.
he didn't really disseminate to everybody.
Okay.
And he died with that.
Oh, which year did he die? Do you remember?
What year?
Yeah. Do you remember
I don't know. I
what
think
time
he
period,
lived
like-
to be 100 and something.
But he died before you guys came around.
He was still alive when
He
we
was-
were there, but we didn't go to Madras to meet him.
Oh. Okay. So.
It was just like we knew he existed, and that was his teacher.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so Patabi Joyce himself, he was a Brahmin. He followed his family tradition and worshipping Shiva and doing.
That's
and
correct. Yeah.
By 79, he was doing puja, but stopped his asana practice, still
That's
doing
right.
pranayama and
Yeah.
teaching you guys. That was
That's
his
right. Yeah.
life. He had around 10 students before the rest of his camp, or what do you estimate? That was
I don't know how many
who
Indians
regularly
he had.
comes to him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
He was just eking out a living,
Okay.
basically, just
True
you know,
teaching.
through teaching.
Okay.
He taught at the university. He did different things, but he made like a meager income.
Okay.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Like I
So-
said, he's a simple man.
Okay.
Part of what you were saying, like, okay, what was his routine? What did he do?
Mhm.
See, people don't know specifically why did he take off on the moon days? He took off because he was doing puja on those days,
Oh.
and the energy was high on those days. Obviously, don't do practice, just take rest. But it was an excuse for him because he had so many pujas on that day. Just like when you go to Bali,
Yes.
everything shuts down. You do
Yeah.
puja on full
Yeah.
moon, new moon.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
everyone was like, "Oh, well, you know, the moon is like it's so
There's
much
some-
energy. Don't practice."
You can't do your asana practice in
You
that
can
day.
still do it. I do.
Okay.
I
So
don't.
the-
I do it carefully.
yes.
The energy is obviously higher. You can hurt
Get hurt.
yourself, or do more accidents happen on those days than any other time. More people go crazy on those days. That's why they call him a lunatic, right?
Yeah.
So there is something to it, but
But the
It was-
actual reason in the Astanga movement that those days were off
Yeah.
because he needed those.
that's right. That's
to
what
be
people
free.
don't understand.
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
hadn't seen
That's
the
a little
beginning.
secret, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm divulging.
Okay. That's we need more of those.
Yeah, I'll tell you whatever you want.
You're an
to know.
open book.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thanks. So that was so you stayed within 2 months. You left after that, and you then how was your training?
Yeah, then I went back to California and I kept practicing with those guys, the 2 American guys, Gary and Brad. They had an established school there. I kept practicing. Then I went back to India. Then he came to Maui, and I met him in Maui
Which year?
in 1980 and 81. And
That
practiced
means
with him there.
Two sessions.
Two different sessions then.
How long time he stayed in Maui?
He
per
stayed
time?
like about 6 months again.
Serious?
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, he's
A lot of hours in teaching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the following, they were growing more and more people.
How,
At
how,
that
how
time,
many
there was
people
about
come?
100 people.
Okay.
So,
And did they come daily for 6 months? Or?
Yeah.
Serious?
Oh, yeah.
So everybody's very committed.
oh yeah,
He got something there with commitment from people.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
He loved it. He loved us. He loved our commitment. He loved our dedication. He was like, "You guys are," because the Indians were just like relaxed.
Yeah,
about
they
it.
didn't
And
appreciate
we were
it.
just like,
Serious.
samastitihi.
Oh,
You know,
committed. Yeah.
He was like, "You do this." We were like, "Okay, whatever you say, boss."
Yeah.
And he was mixing it up. See, this is the thing that people think like it was written on some kind of banana leaf or something, and it was like handed down from Krishnamacharya from Tibet and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
There's some truth to that, but he made up the sequences.
Okay.
So he changed stuff around and moved stuff from here to there. And
You witnessed that in your period.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did. For instance, this is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
In the standing sequence, there's a pose called Parvrita Parshvakonasana.
Mm-hmm.
It's you bend one knee and then you do an extreme twist.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hardest standing pose there is.
Okay.
That was not in the original sequence.
Okay.
He came and he told us to do it in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You take this pose after Parshvakonasana."
Mm-hmm.
We said, "Okay." It wasn't there before, but you say to do it, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So we did. I was like, "Shit, this is hard," you know.
Yeah.
We kept practicing it for a whole year. He comes back the next year and he sees us doing it and he says,
"What are you doing?"
He says, "Why are you doing this crazy pose?"
Yeah.
We said, "Guruji, you told us to do it." He goes, "Okay, you keep doing."
Okay.
And then it was part of the series.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
But it wasn't on the banana leaf.
No. It was more coincidental.
Yeah. So he was doing research. I talked to Manju after he died, after he passed away. We met with Manju, a bunch of us, David, Nancy, you know, a lot of the senior practitioners of Ashtanga Yoga. We met in Maui with Manju. And it was the first time I saw Manju since his father had died. And I was just going to kind of acknowledge him and just say how sad I was that he was gone. And he spoke about his father and his life, and we were all just sitting there. And then David Williams started asking him about the Yoga Kurunta, like this book that was like this
secret book
that came out of Tibet, and it was written on a banana leaf.
Because that's the story.
That's the story. He kept going.
Yeah.
That's the one that he kept alive.
Did he keep it alive by silence, or?
Yeah, he just let people just do like.
He allowed them to speak,
like the
and
gossipy.
not correct them.
Yeah,
that was his.
So he dies,
and that story goes that Krishnamacharya was in Tibet. He learned the Astanga Yoga or his asana practice.
That's right.
In Tibet from a Tibetan yogi.
Yeah,
he went back.
Swami Rama Mohan Brahmacharya.
So he was following Indian tradition. Like
Who, Krishnamacharya?
No, the Tibetan guy was still in the Indian.
He was in the Himalayas, up in the Himalayas, and Krishnamacharya went to him and said, "Please teach me. I heard they're like this great yogi."
Yeah.
And he said, "Go away."
What I'm saying is, in Tibet you have Buddhism, and Tibetan Buddhism. His name indicates that he was in the Indian sampradaya.
Yeah.
So he was following Indian tradition.
Apparently.
And living in Tibetan Himalaya.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure of the actual time frame that Krishnamacharya hung out with him. Several years.
Yeah.
And then he brought it back to Madras, I believe, and into Mysore.
Okay. Do we know where that Indian or the Tibetan yogi got his things from? Which tradition is from? Like,
I don't know, Tibetan yoga, like the Tibetan, the four there's the four Tibetan rites, like one of them, one of the Tibetan exercises is upward dog, downward dog, upward dog, downward dog, upward dog, downward dog.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, that's part of the Ashtanga.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
But I don't want to question those rites, but I'm not sure that they are original. Maybe somebody made them up, but let's not go there.
Everybody made them. Come on, what are you talking about?
Sometime I get it. But they have some they have some ideas that it goes back to Gorakhnath or it goes back to Nataraja, and
that's what they like to say.
But
it came from Patanjali and it's original yoga.
Possible.
Yeah,
But I have one belief in the what you call the tradition, is that they go from master to student, master to student.
Yeah.
And they have in the East they had a lot of respect for the tradition and always give the correct history or at least some version of the history in every tradition. We came from here, this is who taught who and all of that.
Yeah. Well, he acknowledged Krishnamacharya and Krishnamacharya acknowledged the Brahma Mohan, the Brahmacharya.
But did you have like suppose you are doing Vedanta, they have the Sadashiva, Samarambam, Shankaracharya.
Yeah, we had different.
They go back to Sadashiva, then they have Shankara. They have it like this.
Yeah, we had different prayers that we did. We had an opening invocation and ending invocation. And some other
and
Sanskrit
the names
prayers.
There, do they indicate the tradition? Or?
I'm sorry, I don't
Okay.
know.
No.
I wasn't that proficient at it, or
okay.
I didn't go into it that
Traditional.
much.
Okay.
I didn't do that.
Do they have like Patanjali's there? His name is in the mantra.
Yeah, of course. And the opening mantra is like it's to Patanjali.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's
Vande Guru Nam, Charanara Vinde, Sandara Shita Swatma Sukava Bodhe, Nishreyase Jankalikaya Mane, Samsara Hala Hala Moha Shantiye, Abahu Purusha Karam, Shankara Chakrasi, Darinam, Sahasra Shirsham, Shwetam, Pranamami, Patanjalim, Om.
So they acknowledge Shankara and Patanjali.
Yeah.
In that tradition.
Yeah, it's like basically how I understand it's like pranam to all the gurus and all the way back to Patanjali, and that he's going to take away the samsara hala hala if you do this practice.
Yes.
So it's like, yes,
Okay.
please
We
take
want-
away the hala hala, please.
We don't need more hala hala here.
No.
We have enough hala hala.
Yeah.
You can take it.
Yeah, take the poison out of me.
So that was like a little bit nerdy things, like where they come from. That's for guys like us who are like crazy.
It's
about
important stuff.
It is.
It's roots.
So what you're saying is that there's not a lot of emphasis on where did the Tibetan guy come from and this tradition, but
We didn't
but
question it. We didn't like. Maybe
Even in-
some people did, but
okay,
but no one ever talked about it. They didn't like, hey, where did that guy come from? Who
Yeah.
did he learn from?
that was not part of your.
No, it
your
wasn't
everyday
part of our.
conversation.
No, that
Okay.
that wasn't where we
You
were.
loved the guy and he knew what he's talking
It was
about.
like he
and
must
you
know
wanna
what he's
learn.
doing. He's from India.
Yeah.
He's a Brahmin.
Yeah.
I just went with it.
There you
he
go.
was the boss.
Yeah, yeah.
You do this, and this is what he was doing. This is what's really interesting.
Mhm.
His institute was called Ashtanga Yoga Research Institute. His teacher, Krishnamacharya, said, "You do research."
Okay.
He
Check,
opened up this research institute.
check it out. See how.
So
it works.
he was doing research, and he had these Western students. So he was like,
Let me-
okay, you do this. Oh, you take that. Oh, you do it like that. And he was switching stuff up and making us do half-an-hour headstands and all kinds of stuff, and then writing notes about it. Manju said he was writing notes,
Okay.
like in this sit-down with all of us that I said that we had in,
Yeah, after his death.
in Maui.
Yes.
He said, my father made up the sequence. And I just started laughing. I said, really, Manju?
Yeah.
Like, really? He said, yeah. He said he made up the sequences and how, the orders and stuff.
Yeah. So he's like the founder of these sequences.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
So
not the founder of the asana. He's not the founder of Mula Bandha and all the bandhas
Of
and
course,
all that.
all the
That's all
asanas.
part of Hatha Yoga and part of different traditions. But the way he put it together systematically was his genius.
Yeah. But you say that, but I'm just thinking like Iyengar was not.
He didn't have that.
I'm just saying that Iyengar was not, and Pattabhijas, they both studied with Krishnamacharya.
They learned the same asanas, but they had different sequences.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying, because when I'm not like really into Hatha Yoga and Astanga Yoga, but
They have the same asanas.
from my understanding, when you see Iyengar in the early days, he's doing Astanga Yoga, what we accept as
Yeah.
Astanga Yoga today.
Yeah, but he was a sick man. He was a sick young man.
Iyengar.
Yeah. He studied with Krishnamacharya for maybe 1 year and learned some stuff, and then he went off on his own research to help heal himself.
Okay.
So he started using, ropes and chairs
All
and
of that.
whips and chains and all kinds of stuff.
Stuff,
You know,
I get it,
S&M yoga.
Yeah.
And he would hold the pose for a long time. But if you look at Iyengar's book, Light on Yoga, all the traditional Ashtanga yoga asanas are in that book. That was our Bible.
Yeah.
That was our reference book
His
for
book.
asana. Yeah.
Okay.
Iyengar.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm asking now in connection with the sequence,
Yeah.
which is accepted today as Astanga Yoga,
Right.
you were saying Pattabhijas put them together.
Yeah.
I'm asking, but it seems that Iyengar was doing the same sequence.
He probably learned some of the sequences like Surya Namaskara A, B, and some of the standing, but he held to like the sequence. Iyengar went off into his own thing and just broke it down and just did Trikonasana for a half an hour.
I'm getting that. I think what I'm inquiring is, if you look at the old videos with Iyengar,
Yeah, he was doing like sequences. Yeah.
which are similar to,
Yeah.
he must have learned it from Krishnamacharya.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so
Yeah, they both learned from Krishnamacharya.
okay, so in which way does that, which they both learned from Krishnamacharya, differ from what Pattabhijas passed on?
I didn't study Iyengar yoga.
No.
I went to some classes.
Oh.
I never studied directly with Iyengar. I studied with some of his senior teachers.
Okay.
The method in which they taught was completely different. They didn't want you to do ujjayi breathing. They didn't talk about bandha unless you were doing pranayama with them. Patabi was like, you do mula bandha, you do uddiyana bandha through the whole practice.
Yeah.
You have ujjayi breathing.
Yeah.
You have this sequence.
Yeah.
You hold it for 10 breaths. Then all of a sudden it was 5 breaths. What happened to the banana leaf? You know, like why did he move these postures from here to here? He took out these, put them in another sequence. He was moving stuff.
That's how
around
he rearranged it.
Yeah.
A part of his experiment, you can say.
And then his experiment was, okay, I teach these white people and see how they do. And you do this and you do that. Then all of a sudden he came up with the lead class. Where'd that come from? We never did lead asana class. The room was too big. He had 100 people in Maui.
Yeah.
He
So
said, I'm going to do a counting vinyasa class.
Yeah, that was the invention of that.
That was the invention of lead Ashtanga.
So that,
Counting.
yeah, I'm just like, I also studied things from the East for so many years, and my observation has been that the minute it leaves the India or China and comes to the West, this is what happens.
Yeah.
They need to just adapt to the circumstances. And here is 100 people. How do I do? They just on the spur of the moment do something, and it becomes a religion for the people who were there somehow.
Yeah.
Is that your like perception or?
Yeah. And now it's like lead class.
Yeah.
Like Sharat, he goes around the world and he just does lead counting classes. Like that's what his grandfather did. But that's not the method.
Yeah.
That's not the teaching of the method.
No.
All he does is stand there and go, Yekam, Dwe, Trini, Jatwari, board. You know, and just counting. Just put on a video and just practice it. Like, there's no instruction. You're not really.
निज मन मुकुर सुधारी बरनो रघुबर विमल यश जो दायक फल चारि बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मुहि हरहु कलेश विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कबीर तिम लोक उजागर रामदूत है तुलित बलधाम अंजन पुत्र पवन सुतनामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कांचन वरन विराज सुवेशा कानन कुंडल कुंजित केसा हाथ वज्र ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंजने